Alison and BELMAS for inviting me and bringing me all this distance to talk with you and have a chance to interact and share with you some of the work that I've been fortunate enough to be doing. The title of my talk has shifted a little bit. In the past half a dozen years, I was the director of an EDD program at the University of California at the Santa Cruz campus, and also the director of one of the PhD programs there. But because of the severe budget cuts that we've been having and the very large number of lost faculty, we actually had to suspend our EDD program because we no longer have the faculty resources to be able to mount it. And the subject of my talk today is going to be sort of how some of the work that was connected with that program and some of my own work has morphed. And even in the period of extreme budget cuts, we've received a very large grant from the Office of the President of the University of California to start a new center, the Center for Collaborative Research for an Equitable California, or CREC as we call it. And so this center is actually looking at enabling a new kind of research for both existing faculty and the development of new faculty members or new doctorates, but not just doctorates in education, doctorates across a broad range of fields. And so I'm going to sort of situate this work for you a little bit in the context of the University of California, which many people regard as the leading public research university in the United States, if not the world. And also in this situation in the context of California, since I assume you're as unfamiliar with California as I am of England. So I'll do that and then talk a little bit about what we're trying to do to reimagine. The initial talk was sort of reimagining public education, but it was a bit of a play on words because the public education that I was going to talk about was the kind of education that occurs sort of in public, right? Not necessarily in schools, but the kind of learning processes and educational processes that go on in the public domain and that are actually involved in forming publics for different purposes. So just as a kind of general background there. So this is work really trying to recreate the university in a different kind of image and to see the University of California doing a different kind of work within the state and to see scholars as engaged in different kind of work that in a way is much more practice-based like EDDs. So with that as just sort of a general background, I'll say something about the University of California itself. So there are 10 research campuses of the University of California. There are 5 medical centers and 3 national laboratories. The national laboratories are part of the Department of Education, or the Department of Energy for the U.S. government, and actually do all of the research and design of nuclear weapons for the United States. So it's part of the University of California history, which I'm not particularly proud. And in fact, in my graduate student days 30 years ago, I was arrested in the office of the president of the University of California, where I was with a small group of people asking the president if he could please explain how the development of nuclear weapons was consistent with the mission of a public research university, and he elected to have me and 5 other people arrested, and I'm happy to say that we were acquitted at trial by our peers, and the University of California was essentially indicted for being unwilling to explain in any kind of public venue why it was engaged, continued to be engaged in nuclear weapons research. At any rate, that's part of the University of California. We have almost 250,000 students, 170,000 faculty and staff. The overwhelming number of those people are staff and faculty. and the numbers are going down rapidly. Just on my own campus, to give you a sense of the scale of the budget cutbacks, which in the past several years have been over $1 billion to the University of California system. On my own campus, which has about 400 faculty, we have lost 80 faculty lines. We're about to lose 40 more. And we've lost 300 staff positions. We're about to lose another 100. And we've lost 125 teaching assistant positions for doctoral students, and we're about to lose another 110 of those. So the scale of the budget crisis in the state of California and for the University of California system and the public money that it gets is enormous. Hard to really grasp. So, California itself is a large state, and it's enormously wealthy. It's the 8th largest economy in the world, actually, and it's 13% of the GDP for the United States. As many of you know, it's a leading edge place for new technologies. Probably most of you have heard of Silicon Valley, which is the region, the San Francisco Bay region, where my own campus, the University of California, is located, Santa Cruz. We have 3 campuses in the San Francisco Bay region, Berkeley, which you may have heard of, the lesser known of the campuses, and then the big medical center in San Francisco. So California produces an enormous amount of wealth for not only the state, but for the United States. It's also one of the major food producers for the world. Many of you may eat vegetables and fruits from California on a relatively regular basis. And it's very diverse, very diverse. So as you can see from these statistics, 61% is classified as white, but actually a large number of the people who are classified as white are Chicano Latino peoples, and you can see 36% are classified as Hispanic or Latino of any race. So in California, it's white people who are more or less traditionally thought of as white are only about half of the state. It's also important to know about California that 1 in 4, more than 1 in 4 residents of California are foreign-born. And 4 in 10, 40% over that, speak a language other than English at home. So the impact of the immigrant population on the schools in California, of course, is enormous, just as the impact on the economy and other sorts of issues facing the state is huge. So that's a little bit of context for California. And now to the crises in the state. So the Center for Collaborative Research for an Equitable California identified 7 areas of crisis in the state, actually 8 that I'll talk about in a minute, but 7 primary areas of crisis having to do with education, employment, the environment, health, housing, and nutrition. And in each of these areas, I've put just some statistics up so you can get a sense of the scale of what we're dealing with. The state is facing very, very deep problems. So the current year deficit facing the state of California is $21 billion, and likely to go up. I just spoke to people. There's been an effort to get a special election to extend some of the taxes that were due to sunset. And the Republican Party has been resisting having a special election to do that because they want the taxes to expire. Without the taxes expiring, the University of California system, for example, is facing a $500 million additional cut this year. And so without the special election, that will go to another $1 billion. So that the effects are devastating. And already in California, there is widespread poverty. The figures that are up here, 1 in 5 Californians living below the poverty line.